Have you ever found yourself stuck in a cycle of negative self-talk? Do you sometimes feel like you're trapped in a story that doesn't serve you? How do the stories we tell ourselves impact our lives and our potential for success? In this episode, we'll dive into the concept of self-narratives and how they can shape limiting beliefs, often holding us back from achieving our dreams. First, we'll discuss the power of self-narratives and how they can form the foundation of our identity. Then we'll explore how these stories can create limiting beliefs, which can in turn affect our actions and results. And finally, I'll provide you with practical steps to change these narratives and free yourself from self-imposing limitations. Before I dive into the stories we tell ourselves, please smash that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the tips I release each week. Self-narratives are the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what we're capable of, and what we deserve. They're formed from a combination of past experiences, cultural influences, and our own interpretations of events. These stories shape our identity and influence our thoughts, feelings, and actions. So let me tell you a quick story real quick before I continue on with what self-narratives do. I actually was about to give a presentation a few weeks ago, and leading up into that presentation, all I was thinking about was the audience that I was going to present to. And this audience, I wasn't too familiar with, and I wasn't around people who work in this particular field. All I was thinking about was that I wasn't going to relate to them in my presentation. And this was a paid speaking engagement. And the reason I bring that up is because it actually added a little more pressure, because I'm getting paid to basically bring value to this group of people. I began to tell myself that I was going to fail, and then the self-narrative began to just take off. It was going to be that I was going to fail and I wasn't going to get a good review, and therefore the word was going to get around that I didn't do a good presentation in the city. And then what was going to happen was my invitation for speaking engagements was going to decrease and come to a screeching halt. It was going to start affecting my coaching and all the other things that I have going on. Well, I realized that all this was made up. None of this had happened. And I started realizing that I was telling myself this horrible story. So what I did is I coached myself, and I started thinking about, well, what if it doesn't go wrong? What if it goes right? Then what'll happen? And I started picturing myself giving the presentation. I started picturing the people in the audience. I started picturing the different ways that I would get around certain obstacles if they happen to show up, like if I had issues with the projector or issues with the clicker, or because I was showing slides. And I just started thinking about these things and thinking about what I would do. And what happened was my confidence started building back up. And then I started remembering all the great things that I've done, all the great speaking engagements that I've completed. And there was no reason why I was gonna blow this. So that self-narrative that was beginning to take hold in my brain was starting to become this thing that was feeling very real to me, but it wasn't real at all. It was all made up. These self-narratives can cause us to have more fear and cause us to think about all these things that aren't even true, and we treat them like they're real. So that was the worst part of that whole experience. The whole engagement was the thoughts that I had before the engagement. Luckily for me, being a coach, of course, I knew the techniques in order to coach myself through it. But not everyone has that luxury of knowing what to do. And I just sit here and my heart actually breaks for people who actually don't have the techniques and don't have any help, and they miss all these opportunities. You guys miss all these opportunities because these limiting beliefs, which create these self-narratives, which causes you to not partake which causes you to not serve and not give value to all the people that are there that you could have helped or you could have served, which is why I coach and why I do this podcast. But think about the self-narratives that you've created in your own life. Are they helping you achieve your goals and your dreams? Or are they holding you back? Limiting beliefs are thoughts or ideas that we hold about ourselves, others, or the world that restrict our potential for growth and success. They often stem from the stories that we tell ourselves, like the one that I told myself before my speaking engagement, which can be negative or self-defeating. These beliefs can lead to self-doubt, procrastination, and even self-sabotage, preventing us from realizing our full potential. For example, a common limiting belief is the idea that we're not good enough. This belief can manifest itself in many ways, such as feeling unworthy of success, doubting our abilities, like what happened to me, or fearing failure, which also was part of my story. Ultimately, these beliefs can keep us from taking the necessary steps to achieve our goals and live the lives that we desire. So, how do we break free from these limiting beliefs and rewrite our self-narratives? Here are 3 practical steps that you can take to do just that. Step number 1 is identify the limiting belief. And this is what I had to do in my story right before my speaking engagement a few weeks ago. Identify the limiting belief. Take some time to reflect on the stories you tell yourself and pinpoint the beliefs that are holding you back. Be honest with yourself and don't be afraid to confront these beliefs. Number 2 is challenge and reframe your beliefs. Once you've identified your limiting beliefs, question their validity. Look for evidence that contradicts these beliefs and reframe them into empowering, positive statements. And this is what I had to do with my speaking engagement. I had to think back and remember all the other speaking engagements that were successful. And I know how to coach, and I know my job, and I know the presentation. I knew the things, the contents of the presentation. I know that. I had to reframe those limiting beliefs into empowering, positive statements. And number 3 is create a new narrative. Begin to consciously craft a new empowering story for yourself. Visualize the person you want to be. Visualize how you want to show up, and write the new narrative that supports your dreams, goals, and aspirations. Repeat this new narrative to yourself, often reinforcing it until it becomes your new reality. Remember that the stories we tell ourselves can either propel us towards greatness or hold us back from realizing our true potential. By identifying and challenging our limiting beliefs and crafting new empowering narratives, we can break free from self-imposed limitations and elevate ourselves to greatness. Thank you for joining me on this journey of self-discovery and personal growth. If you're ready to take your life to the next level and want personalized coaching to help you rewrite your own self-narratives, I invite you to click on the link in the description below to explore coaching opportunities with me. Let's work together to help you elevate to great. In the comments below, tell me if you found this episode helpful or have any additional insights on the topic. I really would like to hear from you, and your input may help others too. I invite you to join the Elevators inbox for some helpful tips, tools, and resources, plus some personal updates on my life sent to your inbox each week. I promise that I won't spam you, and you can unsubscribe at any time. And finally, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Coach Brian.